So my name is Or, and I do product marketing for Secret Double Octopus. We were founded in Israel in 2015 and quickly got the major market problem of authentication in large enterprises, and went after that. Our team, we actually started in one of our university campuses here. A team of researchers that did a lot of work on cryptography and commercial applications of new cryptographic methods, and they quickly set out to solve the authentication problem in large enterprises, particularly that of employees, because even at the time, different passwordless or half passwordless authentication options were starting to show up in the consumer world, but there was nothing really to solve any of the major and basic problems that passwords cause for large enterprises. So that was our goal, and that's what we do today in pretty large enterprises already in the States, in Europe, in APAC, basically helping organizations get rid of employee passwords and making everything safer and also more streamlined when it comes to authentication.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Could you just tell me a little bit more about how Secret Double Octopus works? What's the technology that you use? Yeah.
Sure. So what we give organizations is the possibility to replace everything that uses passwords with a bunch of different options and getting rid of that first factor of authentication, that is the passwords. So, we're all used to using passwords to access our devices, our online accounts, and definitely within large enterprises, you've got not only cloud accounts, but also lots of on-prem apps and proprietary systems that really the only way to work with these is a combination of a username and a password, because that's the way that they were built. Now, lots of companies have deployed second factors of authentication on top of that. So multi-factor authentication has been used for a while, and everybody knows that. The thing is that for large enterprises, using MFA solutions is very complicated for both administrators and the users. It's also expensive because you have to deploy a bunch of different solutions. You want an MFA for your desktop. You want an MFA for each and every cloud account or important accounts at least, and definitely for internal network access using VPN or virtualization tools and stuff like that. So large companies have to deal with a bunch of MFA solutions, and you see employees carrying around a couple of OTP tokens and USB keys, having to use each one for a different account every time they want to log on. And that's without getting rid of the initial password that they use. That password, even with an MFA, still makes the major risk for security for those organizations, because research has been consistent on that point that most cyber breaches, most data breaches, and cyber attacks are caused by attackers getting hold of employee credentials. That accounts to up to 80%, maybe more, of corporate data breaches. So using MFAs is adding a lot of friction to the authentication process. It lowers the risk for a data breach quite a bit, but it doesn't get rid of the main threat, that is a password that attackers can get and then use. So that's what we do in large organizations today, by a number of different authentication methods that we offer as an alternative to using that password. The innovative thing about our solution is that it can hack into every system including those that absolutely require a password, and take that password completely out of the equation. So that's the new thing that we begin to passwordless authentication. And that's really the thing that makes passwordless authentication fitting to large enterprises rather than just being consumer option.
Well, that's really interesting. So if you've got passwords that are, say, in specific applications, or they're hard coded into, say, web applications, for example, to authenticate,
Right.
then how would that work? How do you take the passwords out and
So
replace it with
that's
what?
exactly our secret sauce, and that's what we got our patents on, and that's what we hack into and put our code, our machinery, so to say, in the middle of the authentication process. We do that in a bunch of ways, but generally speaking, we let the internal system keep using something that is similar to a password internally, but everything that has to do with the user for the authentication process is replaced. So for all practical matters, there is no password, because maybe I should have started with that. The real risk of passwords is that, well, the major risk is that attackers get those and then they can just log into your account, right? And they can bypass MFA methods too once they get that password. So as long as there isn't a password in the authentication flow, in the authentication user interface, then the password is not known to the user. It's never accessed by the user, by the administrator. It doesn't have to be replaced every once in a while. So it's completely invisible. Once that is achieved, then the risk of phishing attacks is pretty much eliminated, because you know that you don't, like, employees know that they don't have to replace those passwords. So all those phishing attacks are meaningless, even if they manage to get into your email and have some employees click on those phishing messages. Employees just completely dismiss those, because they don't have a password to replace, and they really don't know what to do with that. Even if they thought that they have, it's meaningless in terms of touching the actual password. So that's the major security benefit of becoming passwordless. But there are other benefits that are maybe in some cases even more important for our clients, such as simplifying the user interface. Because having to remember a bunch of passwords, replacing them every once in a while, and using different set of MFA methods is really making lives very complicated, especially now that employees are at home half the time, or most of the time still in many places, and the number of password resets, calls to the help desks has risen quite a lot, because obviously everything needs a bunch of different authentications. You need to access your laptop, your VPN to access the network, and then access your internal accounts. So authentication into internal systems have become much more complicated. That resulted in many more help desk calls, many more support tickets, a lot of friction for almost any level of employee. And that has effects not only in direct financial results, like operating a larger help desk team, but also in the employees' performance and how efficient they are, how ready to work they are wherever they are. So that's the second thing that led to a very big rise in the demand for passwordless authentication options. I'd say in many organizations, it's even more of a problem than the security thing, because there are lots of solutions, security solutions that aim to help companies deal with everything that we've been through the last year, and in cybersecurity problems in general. but none are solving the very complicated problem of employee authentication.
Yep.
So when you do both those things, you really make life much simpler for everyone in the company, especially CISOs.